All right, that's good. What's up, chat? Let's do a quick audio check. Let me know if everything's fine. What's up, Jamma? Amen. We've got Zerat with us as well. What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Good evening, Mowgli. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Good to see you. Let me just announce it within the Discord as well. Going live at everyone. Let's go. Let's go. Alles is lekker, maat. Alles is lekker. Gewoon rustig. Good evening. Good evening. Hello, guys. 0 October. How are you guys doing, though? Are you guys holding up? Like, it's been... Like, altcoins have been absolutely in shambles, bro. Like, holy shit. We're getting some nice relief across the board, though, which is to be expected. But... I mean, I think bring me back to simpler times. Like, delist all of these fucking altcoins and let me just trade Bitcoin and some of the majors, right? That's it. Easier times. Yo, what's up, V? Hope you're doing well, man. What's up, Dino? Good evening, man. Got Tiger with us as well. What is up? What is up? Let's give it a minute. By the way, I need to post on Twitter as well. Let me post and tweet. Retweet. No. I need to say something with it. Do you guys call it Twitter still? Or do you guys call it X? I just can't put myself to call it X. Just it's so super cringe. Going live now. With a pointing emo like that. Going live now. Alright. And yeah, leave me a like on the stream, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get these numbers up. What's up, Janelle? Twitter, right? For me, same thing, man. Twitter. I keep calling it Twitter. Like, if I'm talking about people, I'm like, I was posting on X. They're like, what? What's X? I was like, oh yeah, that's Twitter. Then just call Twitter, right? All right, we're good. We're lock and loaded. What's up, Cole? So, back at it. Bitcoin market review. What is up, everybody? I hope despite the market events last week that everybody's still managing. I mean, I said it on Twitter as well. If you need someone to talk to, like if you're having a shit week or you lost a lot of money, just don't do anything stupid and reach out to someone that you love. Or, you can also hit me up as well. My DMs are open for anyone. So, with that being said, let's break things down today to see, is it really over for Bitcoin? Like, is the bull market over? I think we all saw the post on 4chan or whatever the fuck it was, where the guy basically called like 6 October is the all-time high, and we're going to be starting a bear market for the next 365 days, right? Is that going to be the case? Or do we have some sort of support here nearby that we can have some actionable trade-off? And if we're getting like a lower high, where do we think that's going to be forming? Where I want to be looking for shorts to position for a potential move lower into the 100K if we're getting that. So that's all that we're going to be covering today within the stream. Within the previous 2 streams, I didn't do the review with the typing section. I'm bringing it back because I got too many questions from people that were like, you know what, can you still write it out for me? Because that's the part that I'm struggling with. So, we're going to be doing that again today. I'll be keeping it short term though. So yeah, without further ado, this stream is obviously sponsored by Bybit. You can get free access to everything that I'm using today. You can get free access to the Discord. All you need to do is sign up a link on Bybit and connect it to the website. You can find all the details if you go towards Prime Trading right here, dashboard. And then you can see all here, right? The exchange page for you, start free access. Then you can choose Bybit, Blowfin, and you can just follow the steps and get an instant access. I will be playing some Battlefield 6. Yeah, I'm waiting on a new PC, and then if that's done, like if I get the new PC, we're gonna be streaming some games, man. You'll see, like I'm a demon. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a demon at these games, like Call of Duty, Battlefield 6. I'm genuinely good. So review Bitcoin daily prep. It is the 12th today. The tick size is higher. If I go towards Sierra charts here, let me just quickly open up the chart book. I'm using a 115 tick size. So I'll just load this up, open. And meanwhile, let's just write this out. Tick size is 115 for me. Right here. 115 tick size to account for the volatility that we're currently having within the market. Now, impact from news events. Let's bring that up. I don't think that we got anything this week, but nope. We've got Powell speaking Tuesday, 4:20 p.m. So that's what I want to be aware of. We have Powell speaking on Tuesday, and that's it, right? Now, recent developments, longer term VWAPs. Let's take a brief peek on what we have. And we're going to be starting here with the yearly. So all the yearlies basically has been doing essentially is it's trading between the standard deviations 3 and 4 from 2024 in combination with the developing year value high. What I think is very important here is that we had a move away from the developing value high there. We had one here as well. Another move away from the developing value high, but now we're coming back into it right again. And, you know, after taking out this high, I think it is starting to look a bit iffy, right? Where I'm not as confident in this being a higher time frame low compared to the previous interactions when we were clearly within a trend. This to me looks like, you know, it's a sweep of the all-time high, instantly back towards the previous standard deviation 3, right? That line confluent with the standard deviation 1 from the developing year VWAP. So I would say this though, if there's gonna be a low before we go higher in quarter 4, let's say that for some miracle we're getting a bullish quarter 4, right? I don't think everybody has or anybody has any money left to push things around, but if we're getting it, this needs to be low. Like, if there's going to be a V-shaped reversal, I think the only time that we got one was during COVID. Right, I think was it this one? No. When was that? Right here, I think. Right here. Right? We respected the 50% of that wick here, and that was the low. That is why I tweeted the other day, usually when we're getting like a V-shaped reversal or whatever, the 50% threshold of the wick of that daily candle needs to be respected. So if there's going to be a V-shaped reversal, you know, this needs to be the low for me. So, you know, to put it simply put, Bitcoin is bullish above the developing year value high. No closes, or I just don't want to see this low getting revisited anymore. Like, we could just do this and then slowly grind upwards, right? To, you know, to start trading into a bullish quarter 4. So the yearly. Right here, we are trading at previous year standard deviation 3 and developing, whoops, can't type anymore, and developing year value high. Now, if you have questions, do let me know in the chat and I'll cover them later on during the Q&A at the end of the stream. But I just want to get this out as soon as possible. So the quarterly time frame. Let's get rid of this chart. Let's go towards the quarterly. So for those of you who've been watching my streams for quite some time know that I wanted to get long below these lows. I said, you know, if we're getting a sweep into that older previous quarterly value high from quarter 3 basically, or quarter 2 it was, I want to be a buyer for a move towards all-time high. I didn't get it, but look where we bottomed out, exactly at that quarter 2 value high. Look to the tick there, right? So that's a good thing. Where, you know, buyers are stepping in where they should. The other good thing is that we are unable to close below previous quarterly value low. So from a quarterly perspective, if I were to draw this out as a profile, right, this is that bell-shaped distribution. We've got the value high and the value low. All we're really doing is we accept the back within quarterly value. We instantly traded towards VWAP, flush straight through, right? Insane liquidation event here, taking out these lows there. And now we're essentially trading between previous quarter VWAP, previous quarter value area low. So this is going to be our bearish line in the sand, and this is going to be our bullish line in the sand. So super simple, purely based on quarterly value. Anything else? No. I think if we're getting acceptance below the current previous quarterly value low, we're filling in the wick and we're going to go towards one. I think we're going to go way lower. So that is why I'm maintaining this as my higher time frame bullish line in the sand. I do not want to see anything below this low anymore. And I mean, the thing, I always keep track of Coinbase. Like, I don't care about Binance. I don't care about anything else. Like, Coinbase has always been it for me. For those of you who've been watching the stream know that I've always been like charting on Coinbase, even if I'm trading on Bybit, right? I'm always charting on Coinbase. So the quarterly wicked into quarter two value high and closed above previous quarter value low. We are rotational within lower bands. All right, monthly. What do we have there? Let's take a look. Monthly time frame. Similar to the quarterly, we are rotational within previous quarterly value. We've got the value high there. We've got the value low there. You know, we couldn't close below value low. This is what's confluent with the 50% wick, right? Then we accept the back within. Next, like the destination is going to be VWAP. Now that we're trading above VWAP, I'm expecting this to hold a support for a rotation higher into the previous month value high. That previous month value high is confluent with a fair value gap right there, right? There's a fair value gap there, that inefficiency. And we also have rolling VWAPs here, which I'll go over in a bit. So this combined with the fact that previous quarter value high is around the same threshold as well, makes it a super clean case to use this as a bearish line in the sand heading into next week, or maybe even heading into quarter four. Because if we can genuinely break above, I think we're not going to be stopping anytime soon. We're probably going to go towards these highs again, right? So yeah, this is basically the make it or break it. So let's write that down. Monthly, we have rotation. We have been rotational within upper half. Previous month VWAP short-term bullish line in the sand, right? Why am I saying short-term? Because the longer-term bullish line in the sand is the previous quarterly value area low. The weekly, let's take a look. Weekly chart right here, right? And I believe this is where I tweeted, like I did an entire top down on Ethereum, and I said to let's take a look. ETH right here. Yeah, I think this was it. Like I posted a chart on Twitter. I was like, you know, Ethereum is now coming into previous week value high. It was confluent with previous quarterly value high, essentially the bearish line in the sand. And I said, you know, if there's gonna be a shorting opportunity, it is now or never, right? Acceptance below these highs, or there was the 7-day rolling VWAP, I think that I mentioned, confirms that bearish shift at which I'm targeting new lows. I wasn't expecting this. I was short ETH and I closed it. I had a limit TP at the value area low from previous week. Shouldn't have done that because holy shit, right? But yeah, it goes to show basically how important these values are and how clean they're trading. So back towards Bitcoin. Bitcoin was slightly front running that previous week value high before we broke down, but we had a structural shift here. This was still a good shorting opportunity for that rotation towards VWAP and essentially value area low. Now that we're trading below, we can expect this to become resistance. Again, it's confluent with the previous quarterly VWAP, so definitely a sticky point here. From tomorrow on, we will have new previous week value. Now, we'll have an insanely big weekly value because of the trend that we had on Friday. Now, if we were to expand everything throughout time, previous week VWAP is going to be a sticky point, and that value area low of the prior week will be confluent with that previous quarterly value low as well. So, you know, another layer of confluence towards our thesis that this around here is our bullish line in the sand going forward. I will allow for something like that, right? But I don't want to see genuine closes below. And by that, I mean, if we're able to do like this right here is genuine acceptance below developing week value, right? We're spending enough time and space there. If we're getting that again right here, I think we're probably rebalancing these lows and potentially that low. So yeah, bearish line in the sand there. Let's go back to the prep. The weekly. Weekly is likely to close within value. Upcoming previous week val confluent with previous quarter VWAP. No, previous value area low as well. All right, long-term VWAP done. Let's take a look at the rolling VWAP here. And let's go towards the regular chart. So let's remove all of the drawings, rolling VWAP, bang. And then I want to let's remove the 7-day because we're gonna be doing a higher time frame outlook here and H12. So 90-day, and the 30-day. Like, we are just slicing through it. But the fact that this is now confluent with previous month value, what was it? Previous month? Let's go back towards the monthly. Previous month value high, yeah. The fact that we have, you know, such a level of confluence here where everything is starting to line up with this cluster makes me think that we're either going to be front running it before more downside, or we're going to just, you know, break through it cleanly. So I won't be putting limit orders here to anticipate a move lower. In fact, what I'll tend to do is I'll just monitor the, you know, the structure that we'll have heading into the level. So let's say that we form a high, then we trade a bit lower, we form, you know, another high right there, and then we break below the last series of up close candles. I'll be taking shorts and I'll have my stop above the high. To show you an example of how you can trade those things is if we go towards the 30-minute time frame here, this is where we had that previous week. Let me go back, right? The previous week value high, right? Slightly front running it right there. We took out this high there. So, you know, there was a liquidity grab there. And then these two were the final two up close candles leading up to this push higher into the gap there, slightly there, and into a contextual level. When the market then closes below these two bars, that's an indication that there's a shift in structure, right? And then you can just short this. Stop above the high, and you can target a previous intraday low or previous day low, previous week low, whatever you want, right? But these are the type of trades that are super easy to trade, right? Super clean continuation trades as well. So if we're getting something similar here, where, you know, we get an initial high and then we start trading above it, right? We spike above the high and then we just cleanly break through it. It's a short. And in my opinion, we're going to be targeting this first and then potentially quarterly value. And we'll see how, you know, how far that goes then. But definitely the level to overcome here, mainly because it's confluent with the quarterly and the monthly and so on. All right. In case shit's hit the fan, right? Let's say that we have topped out and that we're getting a, I don't know, like a way deeper flush. What's the level that I want to be beating? Like, where am I going to be loading up on spot? I'm going to be keeping it really simple as I've been doing throughout this bull market. And if we take a look, and let's get rid of the drawings again. If we're taking a look at the yearly rolling VWAP, this has been my line in the sand for loading up on spot throughout this bull market, right here, right there, right there. I know it's scary when we start trading there, but you got to trust the process, right? If you're more comfortable with waiting for confirmations, you can just use your own system, but I tend to layer in when we're trading towards the yearly rolling VWAP, right? So in case we're getting super bearish, I'll have my eyes on 96K, right? The more time we spend up here, the more this will start to trade upwards, right? Maybe 100K, big figure, right? That's going to be an area of interest as well. The moment Bitcoin, look, this right here as well, right? Let me just make sure that I've got it nice in the screen. This, scary, but it was the low before new highs, right? Initial retest, scary, but it provided like a really clean move upwards, right? But then a clean shift below. And upon the retest, we couldn't hold it as support. Now, if we get this, I think that's the confirmation. Like, all right, we're heading into a prolonged bear market, and I have absolutely zero interest in trying to catch any first knife that we're heading off that yearly rolling VWAP, right? Because that's going to take a while. It was from March until like a year, right? 23. Yeah, this was exactly a year bear market there. Boom. So if something like that happens, I'll just be chilling, and I'll be waiting like a year before I'll start loading up on spot again, or of course on a clean reclaim of that level. But this is definitely going to be your higher time frame point of interest in terms of, is this a continuation of the bull market or is this a rep, right? Because let's be honest, shit has been popping off left and right. We saw, you know, the last influx of money moving all the way towards the Binance chain, right? And then the next day everything was wrecked. So it's definitely signs that we're getting really close to a cycle end, right? But let's not be a doom poster and let's just stick to the contextual standpoints that we're having here based on VWAP. So right here, 7-day rolling VWAP. We're not using that within today's prep. The 30-day is trading at 116.4K. Then we're having the 90-day. Now the 90-day is trading at 115.8K. So we can already see the confluence, right? We've got a previous quarterly value there as well, previous month value as well. So this is the bearish line in the sand heading into next week. All right. Now, VWAP done, rolling VWAP done. We know Powell was speaking on Tuesday. What do we have based on TPO? Let's take a quick peek here. Let's get rid of the monthly here. And let's adjust some things first because it didn't load up for me at the first beginning. So right here, chart, studies, TPO, settings, bang. I want this to be 110, apply. Otherwise, there's just too much data within my screen and I can't work with that. So, all right. So we can have everything within a single pane. What do we have? First off, the errors that you're seeing within my chart are composites from a long time ago. Look, they go back all the way towards the left and I keep them on my chart because they remain areas of interest, right? Because right here, yes, this day just sliced through it cleanly. I'm ignoring that. But the next day, we're trading pretty cleanly off the value high and the value low of this really old composite. And now we're starting to trade back above, right? Yes, there's a large amount of buy delta at the highs, but still, it is a breakaway from value. So what I want to be aware of today and heading into next week is a couple of things. The first thing that has the first area of interest that has my attention are these single prints above. These single prints are confluent with the 30 and the 90-day VWAP that we've just covered around 115-ish, right? 116-ish, right? So definitely a reason to go a bit higher here. We clean up the poor highs intraday, but we have a really bad low here. Does that mean that we need to rebalance it? No. As long as we hold above the upcoming 2-day composite, because right here we've got 2 days of overlapping value. So if today closes like that, I'm adding this day within the previous day as a 2-day composite. So as long as we're trading above, we can expect upside towards the single prints. Acceptance back within the 2-day composite, and we can expect this to trade lower, potentially towards this low into this cluster here. Let me just get rid of one composite there, into that older composite value high. Okay. Besides that, one of the things Bitcoin tends to do is that whenever we have such a large flush lower, we're going to be forming like a multi-day composite here, or at least it's something that I hope that it does, because trading a composite for me is way easier compared to trading a trend. I generally don't really like to trade a trend. Give me a composite and I can trade it like any day of the week, right? Because you got such a clear invalidation above and below the value area, right? And if you're getting a deviation from value area low, the first point of interest is going to be fair value, right? Because that's where the edge decays. If you're getting short at value area high, you want to offset that risk again at fair value. So give me a composite and I'll be a happy man. So let's write everything out. TPO right there. What do we have? We've got single prints that are confluent with 30-day rolling VWAP. All right. What else? We have acceptance above previous day value high. Short-term bullish, right? Because due to the lack of recent composites, we're putting more emphasis on prior day value. Now, as long as we're trading above prior day value, look, let me just show you. When we're accepting above prior day value, first target is going to be prior day extreme. And then we're looking left. Like, do we have anomalies, right? Do we have structural levels? Yes, we've got an old composite here. We've got single prints there. So that's going to be the draw, right? Failure to hold above previous day value. Well, shit, what's going to be the draw? Oh, poor lows there, right? Oh, old composite value high there, right? So that's how we're breaking it down based on TPO. So right here, acceptance above previous day value high. And then we have a potential 2-day composite value area where we have the value area high at 112.615, and then we've got the value area low at 110.640. All right. That's a wrap on TPO. So let's go with this bullet point. Be gone. Summary. Clean rotations of the rotations of the previous month value low and the previous quarter value low that were both confluent with the 50% threshold on the daily wick, right? That's what the tweet was all about. Heading into next week, the most important area will be the cluster of the 90-day and 30. Don't mind any typos. I don't know what's wrong with me today. 90-day and 30-day rolling VWAP that are, I think it's because of the mic. I'm almost gagging my mic. Holy shit. That are both slightly above the previous quarter VWAP. Failure to reclaim, and I can see this rolling over back towards the upcoming previous week value though. Our higher time frame bullish line in the sand remains previous quarter value low. So let's go back to a chart. Back to the charts. H4. What does that mean? It means that right now the range that we have, let's get rid of these real quick. I'll go over this. I'll go over the trade setups that I took, the scalps, and in a bit. Let me just finish this up first. So H4, right? Getting the retracement. We're filling in this anomaly, right? We've got a single print there. We're filling it in. We have the previous quarter VWAP there. We have the previous quarter value there. The range that we're trading within is now this, right? We can clearly see support, resistance. Doesn't get much cleaner than that. Now let's add the rest. So rolling VWAP, I want to add the 90-day as well. The 90-day rolling VWAP, if you go towards an hourly chart, let's fine tune this a bit more. The 90-day rolling VWAP is slightly within this small fair value gap. So I think if Bitcoin is going to put in a high, right? Let's say that we do a bit more downwards here, right? And then we form some sort of an equal high. So I think there's definitely pending liquidity above these. And then we start trading back up, right? Spiking to the level and break back below the opposite candle there. And I think the high is in and we're going to go towards these lows here, right? Or maybe even that low, or maybe even this low. I don't know. But the main target is going to be the previous quarter value low, because I'm just going to be trading this range here until I'm getting expansion above, at which I'll be bullish for a move towards value high, or expansion below, at which I'll be bearish for a move towards this extreme there, and then potentially way lower. But, you know, we can't really tell you, I can't really tell you right now where, oh, we're going to be breaking above. No, I'll have to see that in, you know, in time. But what I can tell you is that when we do eventually get the break above, what you want to see is just a simple, you know, on a 30-minute chart, 1 hour chart, let an initial low form. Then I want to see a drive below that low and a clean break back above the high. This is your continuation trade. It's exactly the same on how I took this scalp here, where if you go towards the H2, or it was the hourly chart, I think. Yeah, the hourly chart. So the hourly chart, right? I was loading up on a swing account there, and I wanted to get a scalp in as well. So how I traded this was, I knew that the previous quarterly value low was a level of interest to me. I knew that it was around the 50% threshold of that daily wick. Now, what I needed to see here is I need to see first a low getting ran, right? I need to see a liquidity grab there. Then I need to see displacement. So this was the, you could either choose to pick the breaker here, whatever you want to call them, or the last two down close candle before we broke above, right? The moment we break above, I'm gonna go look for longs, right? So you can either look for longs here or with your invalidation below the low, right? Because if you're right, this should now hold a support for a move back into the high, into this gap, because that's the trade. Or you can go into the 5-minute chart, for example, whatever your preference is. And whoops, let me just get this structure here. Where was it? Right there, right? And then you go into the 5-minute chart right there. And again, I need to see a low that's being breached, right? Right there, a low that's being breached. Or maybe it was this low. I don't know which one it was. This one maybe. like that. And then what do I need to see? I need to see displacement higher. So you can enter there, right there, and stop below the low. Because this is the confirmation that you need to see. Bang, right? We take out a bunch of lows. Is this are you going to be longing this? No, you need to see that confirmation. So boom, back above. I'm not waiting for any pullback whatsoever. I'm long. I have my stop below the low. This is exactly how I took that scalp. Right there. And my target was entry point, at least aiming for 2, right? And then it was, I think this was 2 and a bit right there. 3-hour trade, right? So doesn't, you don't really have to force anything. You just need to know where. This is the most important part, because you'll see these order blocks, breakers, whatever, supply and demand everywhere, but you need to see them around levels where you expect the market to form a reaction, right? That's where you want to look for them, because otherwise you'll be lost in the sauce. You'll be looking at, maybe I'm longing this order block right there. No, because it's in the middle of nowhere, right? Getting ahead of myself. Narrative. We're already long off the 50% VIP, but I have closed my scalps here at the previous quarter VWAP, and we'll look for continuation higher on a clean break above, targeting the previous quarter value high. So essentially what I want to see then is, what's up, Hawk? You like tacos? So what I would like to see is basically this, right? This, but above. So if we go towards an hourly chart, if the market can do something along these lines, like that, where we cleanly break, not just this fake tiny ass break above. This is a rejection, right? I need to see a big push higher above 90-day, above previous quarterly VWAP. I need to see initial low, consolidation, run that low, and then boom, back above, right? Don't be a pussy, get long with your risk defined, stop below the low, and we're targeting this gap here, and confirmation for that would be acceptance above, right? Now the bearish development would be try to break above, then we get slammed back down. Then that's the exact opposite, right? And then we can look for shorts towards these lows, potentially that low, okay? Prep. Break targeting the previous quarter value high. Failure to do so, and I will look for shorts instead for a rotation back into previous week value low, confluent with previous quarter value low. Right. Hypos. So I already said it. Acceptance above previous quarter VWAP for longs towards previous quarter value high. And this is obviously a long. This is a short. Rejection at the 90-day rolling VWAP for shorts on a close back below previous quarter VWAP. All right. And then we've got another long. Now this one here is a bit where I'm like, yeah, maybe not the usual size. Retest of H2 demand for longs towards 90-day rolling VWAP. That's basically, so what we've just covered is I'm either looking for H2. Is this a flat open? Yep, that's flat. That's flat. So we definitely have a reason to go a bit lower, right? Inefficiency there. We've got this structure there. If we're gonna be do something like that, then reclaim it. I might take a risky long here, just for the sake of another sweep here into the 90-day rolling VWAP. I'll only take this one if we don't sweep this high yet. Okay, that's the risky long. The long with a bit more, where you wait until the market just shows you, okay, we're bullish again, is when we can cleanly break above, low, sweep low, break in structure, boom, we're gonna go towards the highs right there, right? In terms of a short, let's say that we are expecting another bearish week. So one thing that I'll say about the weeks here is if we're going to be taking a look here at the weekly chart, let's get rid of rolling VWAPs. I think this is important because the previous times that I tweeted about this as well, where Bitcoin swept an all-time high, right? And we closed below the open of the move that caused the run of the highs. That's when shit hits the fan, right? We saw that here as well. We swept it. We got a weekly, whoops, I need to do it right. We got a weekly close there. At that point, if we're getting that, I'll look to get short on that weekly high. If we zoom in, if we look closely here, like right there, we had a weekly close below the open as well, right? So that was bearish as well. You need to get in shorts on that weekly open drive higher. So for me, this right now, we took out this high. This is the open. So it's not necessarily super bearish. Well, I wouldn't say that it's super bullish, but it's not as shitty as the previous times that we did something like that, right? However, if I wake up tomorrow and I see that the weekly candle closed like that, it's bearish in my opinion. And at that point, I'm gonna be focusing really hard on that weekly open. So let's say on the hourly chart, we've got, let me just make sure that I get like this right there. So let's say that this is Sunday, right? And then we've got Monday, and then we've got Tuesday, right? And then we've got our big ass bearish line in the sand. No, not there. I would say here, right? Let's say that this is our bearish line in the sand. And this was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. What I would like to see there to put everything together, if we're getting a bearish weekly close, is I'm gonna be monitoring, like let's say that we get like Monday, something like this, right? Monday's low right there. And then we have Monday's range. Monday's range with the high and the low. If on Tuesday, or for example, Wednesday, Thursday, it doesn't really matter, but Tuesday Paul was speaking, so I'm gonna be focusing on Tuesday right now. If we're running the highs on Tuesday, and I'm expecting this to be a bearish week, and this is the weekly open, for example, I want to get short above the weekly open with the anticipation that I'm going to be targeting that weekly drive lower. Same goes for if the weekly candle is expected to be bullish. If we're getting a bullish close, right, I want to get long below the open with the anticipation that I can capture the momentum upwards again, right? So if we're getting this on Tuesday and then we're reclaiming this weekly open, previous structures, we've got large delta divergence and order flow, VWAPs, everything is lining up, whatever your system is, I'm looking for shorts. And I'm going to be looking for that expansion lower on the weekly, right? So if we go towards the weekly chart here, this is what I mean. On these weekly bullish candles, we have a wick. And that means the weekly opens, we deviate below that into, is it the 50% threshold, by the way? Look at that. Damn. All right, into the 50% threshold in this case, and then we're getting expansion, right? Same week here, large deviation, back into weekly demand, continuation higher. Weekly open, boom, drive lower, continuation higher, right? So it's gonna be highly dependent for me on where we're getting the actual weekly close, and obviously how we're gonna be reacting at that previous quarterly VWAP. So everything is basically lining up for me where I'm like, okay, you know what? Sure, we've got monthly value, we've got weekly value, we've got yearly value. Do I need all those lines on my chart? Nah, I need to be focusing on this one, and that one, because this is now the range that Bitcoin is going to be trading within. And if we fail to hold this range low as support, it's going to go for another weekly expansion lower, in my opinion, right? If we can reclaim this, let's say weekly open, drive lower, reclaim, I think we're getting a bullish week to fill in some of this inefficiency towards the previous quarterly value high, okay? Anything else? Yeah, bullish line in the sand. So bullish previous quarter value area low, like I've said. Is this doesn't need to be bold right there. I don't like that. No. And the bearish line in the sand is going to be previous quarter VWAP. This is bull as well, obviously. No, be gone. And that's it. That's a wrap on Bitcoin. Is that clear for everybody going into next week? What we need to be expecting, or what we can expect, to be honest? What the levels of interest are, how we're going to be playing things. Let me know. And meanwhile, I'll just catch up on the chat. I'm gonna be Call of Duty pro player. I don't know if I'll probably get the new Call of Duty, but I might just be too old for the wall jumping and shit, bro. Like I'm genuinely good at Call of Duty, but I don't know. Maybe I'm capping. Yeah, Benny, you need to do know your customer at Bybit. If you want to get, use this, you need to actually trade on the account. So you need to have like a personal account and select it, because you'll need to have it's free. Do I need a new account? Yes. When does it start? 500k volume. That's when it starts. So you actually need to trade. And then it's gonna be updated here on your account. Don't break my heart, brother. I'm your age. No, we're young. We're young. But I'll the response time is a bit shitty, to be honest. I used to be a sniper, to be honest, but I've been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 2, man. So, like, I've been playing this shit for a long time. Daytona saying we front run the 365 on a few exchanges. Yeah, but I would focus on the aggregation between Binance and Coinbase for that, for VWAP. Between the 9-day rolling VWAP and a quarterly VWAP, which holds more weight. For example, if previous quarterly value highs at 100 and 9-day rolling VWAPs 90 during a drop. At that point, if they're so close together, I'm going to be focusing more at the one that's highest from that point on. So in that case, it's going to be previous quarter value high. Otherwise, Peter Jan is saying, I like gagging noise. You dirty motherfucker. So otherwise, let's say that we've got a previous quarter value high up here, right? Yeah. But we got the 90-day rolling VWAP here. Do I really want to be bullish when we close above here? Not really, right? Because at that point, I'll be longing right into the previous quarter value high. That is why I'm saying here on this chart, am I getting bullish above the previous quarterly VWAP? No, I need to see it break above the 90-day, because that's the confirmation that, okay, you know what? We're now trading above previous quarterly VWAP. We're also above the 90-day, so right now we can expect this to trade higher, right? For me, it's going to be Binance. This is for Lucifer. It's going to be Binance and Coinbase. That's for me, it's always been the sweet spot. Now you can add some other exchanges as well, but for me, it's not really needed. Pieter Jan, dat mag je niet zeggen. Hij is een stoute jongen. Een stoute jongen. So no time and space, Lotus. Yeah. If we're actually bullish and we don't reject it. Yeah, so if we're actually bullish, I just want this to go up. Okay. So with that being said, if you made it this far within the stream, do me a favor, support your boy, leave me a like, leave me a comment. And if you have suggestions for upcoming streams, you can let them know in the comment section below as well. And, stay safe, y'all. I will see you guys next week. And for the guys in Discord, I will see you guys tomorrow morning again during the live. Take care, man.